Well, hello everyone. It's like, for welcome back right here, for Portfolios Change, Good. And this right here will be talking about, like, I went ahead and ran, work, spell checking right here, just to check for any spelling. I went and corrected a few things here. But let's just say that on average, though, that any students that may be working hard, maybe for a certain type of degree in study, for anything that more likely think that, that, yeah, it's, really is change, usually for the better, or is it change, usually for, it's like, well, it's, you got a number of people that want to see something new or want to see something improve, or that maybe just a thought that came to their mind. So we're like Warren, to where any type of degree in study, if it's going to be maybe for science or doctor's degree, or if it's going to be for a bachelor's or master's degree or some kind, and you're like Warren, to where if you're going to be having it, to where like maybe one full quarter of a semester, to where that not too many changes are being made, then I guess it seems like then a lot of times how good that maybe of a portfolio that maybe that could be put together, and thinking that really I'm like this, maybe just not enough information, that may not be as good compared to a lot of information. So if there's going to be like something such as a lot of change going on, and I know any student like me that may think that yeah, that there's too much change going on, that kind of puts you on, like I say, on an aggravation, to where that anything that you're trying to do, you're trying to catch up, you're trying to work on something, after you were figuring out, it took you about maybe 3 days to learn how to use a program, you went through a number of hours of training, and it seemed like to where that every 10 minutes to every 10 hours that there's going to be some improvements. So whenever we look back at some of these pictures and from where we started with, that whenever we found out, we learned about this or that, learned how to use the writing format such as MLA writing, and then as well as the typographic fonts, for good, and as well as for the alignment, and the different things like that. And then we're like kind of looking back and just thinking about it, as to where that those many weeks and months, while being a student, that we're like Warren, to where that we learned quite a few things, and we may not necessarily realize that thinking that really I'm like, if there's going to be an improvements, and I know with me though that I keep thinking though that yeah, from your education from back 10 years ago, from back in 2004, that there may be a few things that you did not know, especially like the grade book right here. So a lot of these pictures right here and paintings that I went and put together right here, I'm sure that maybe not all of it, but then some of it you'll be using for my portfolios update, but in the near future. But at the same time, it's like you look at these and you're like thinking about, I'm like, yeah, that I learned it, but then it seems like, well, is it good enough really to go by the requirements, to where if I want to get a job, working, for like in the professional industries. But it seems like it's always like, hope for the best. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, that somebody else that may be interested too, and they're like wondering about. I'm like, yeah, you don't necessarily have to include your baby picture every time. And anybody that may wonder, to where that any type of skills like we may have learned, from like from Photoshop, any type of a degree in study for like for designing, and like Warren, to where why is it on the driver's license that they don't allow you to take your own photograph at home and renew your driver's license at home, and maybe take an eye exam at home, or anywhere that you have access to maybe online capability. So you're like Warren about that, but like I'm sure that they got the requirements too. But on the other hand, and talk about what changes though, is that anything that keeps us busy, really. I'm like, even though when the semester's over, whenever class is over, and then you're putting together portfolios whenever due to graduate. And I'm sure any students that may want to where it gets on a, I'm sure it may drive us crazy, to where that if we've experienced to where that from the first 8 weeks or so, that we've seen a number of changes. number of improvements, as well as a few extras that we may think that decide later on if we want to use them or not. So is that supposed to be a good thing, or is that just be something to keep us busy with for great excellence or anything like that? So that seems to be a question to where that any students, after whenever they do graduate and go off into the real world, go off into the world to where they go out and pick up a job. And I'm sure that anybody probably think that, yeah, that questions more likely remain mainly as to where that, if you get a job that pays good, then more likely that there's going to be people that are going to want to interview you, ask you questions, ask about the job, and then knowing about what all that you do, and then for anything that you worked with from before, what your experience is like. So it seems like to where that a lot of the stuff that we may think that it's what you call useless. It's like useless information. That yeah, you wrote this. I'm like, you did not take any advice, maybe from about the teachers, or if it's going to be faculties, or if it's anything related to anybody else that working with. Is like you wrote these notes, yeah, they're notes in your own words, yeah, but then on the other hand, it's like, is it good enough just to pass a class? Is it good enough to get into professional industry? So thinking about, I'm like, yeah, you write this, and then after 3 weeks later, and it's possible that's you know anything that more likely that could be done for improvement. So is that what it's all about? It's about college education. And I know that maybe not everybody has a college degree, I'm sure, but then on the other hand, that's something to think about. They may a lot of times thinking about it's too expensive. They don't want to deal with. They don't know too much about computers. That they don't know how to. They're not familiar with working with photo designs, or if it's doctor's degree, or studying about the medications, or if it's going to be anything related to psychology, social working, anything like that. They may think that it is too expensive. So we're like Warren, to where there are jobs out there that more likely that may not hire, that may not require a bachelor's degree or a master's or an associate's, or if at least an associate's degree. But then on the other hand too, I usually think about is to where me, Matthew, that yeah, that since I was young, that I want to go ahead and aim for the best, and my goals were to study for a higher education. So whenever I look back at some of these, I keep thinking about even from my kindergarten years to where what was considered real good, what counts as what you call as professional work. So with all these pictures right here, that they were not there at the beginning, necessarily. I'm like, they were there, but then they were not put together and worked on and scaled and framed and in like the professional work. So we are thinking about it as to where a lot of this information that was not just appeared just by saying the magic word, just wave the magic wand over it, and then there you go, it's there. I'm like that. There's a lot of work and then time consuming. I'm sure it's like we say, we can maybe say time for about almost everything, but maybe another word it could be you working for also is for great progress, for good progress, and for change. So that's something that we can think about too, is to where for great progress, to succeed, for our goals, is to where anything that we put your mind up for, but then at the same time, it's like yeah, that from when we started out, being introduced to the birthday cake, from what we remember from our 7th birthday or maybe our 10th birthday, and you're looking back at like the portfolios change. It's like you didn't know how to do this or that at the beginning, but then now you use it just like writing the date. Just like writing the date. It's like really that it's something to where we may just do it without even thinking about it, as to where, yeah, was it 4 inches among that the umbilical line or something. So anyway, if most of us know what I'm talking about, is to where that sometimes, just like writing the date, that we may just say is like we gotten adjusted to the point to where it's not that complicated, as much as it was before. So anyway, anything that's say for great performance is like for portfolios change for the good. Thanks for watching.